It's like just before dark, jump in the car, buy an ice cream and see how far we can drive before it melts, kind of feeling. And there's a cow in the road and you swerve to the left, fate skips a beat and it scares you to death, and you laugh till you cry. But that's how your love makes me feel inside. That's How Your Love Makes Me Feel by Diamond Rio. I'm Max T. Barnes, and I'm going to tell you another story behind the song. Trey Bruce and I wrote that back in about 1994, and it was a number one for Diamond Rio for about number one for 3 weeks on the charts. And that year in Nashville, there was a tornado come through Nashville and broke a bunch of windows and turned over trees and stuff. And I remember after that tornado trying to get home that day, and we live out in the country, and I had to take the long way around, and out in the country that's really a long way around, so there was like insulation and barn tin everywhere, and fences were down and stuff, and I remember seeing animals out, you know, because there's fences down, and I was coming down this little country road, and there's a goat out there in the road just looking at me. So that's something you don't see every day, and I remember getting out and helping that guy scooch his goats back in the fence, and I remember I think it was the next day or the following, I got together with Trey Bruce there at his office at Big Tractor, and Big Tractor's owned by Scott Hendricks, and Scott produced Alan Jackson, Chattahoochee, all that great stuff, and Trey is a producer too. Trey produced Trace Atkins. I know he produced Chrome, and he produced a couple of the greatest hits album for Trace too. And he wrote Look Heart No Hands and a bunch of other great songs. But that day we were writing, and we were just throwing out lines, and I threw out this, there's a cow in the road and you swerve, or something like that. And he laughed, and it was kind of funny. And I thought, well, now he thinks I'm stupid because I just said that, because it was kind of a dumb line. He said, no, that's it. I go, no, really? He goes, yeah. And I thought it was just kind of weird, but we left it in here because he was insistent on it. And I thought, well, okay, I trust you because he's a really good writer. So, you know, what the heck, we left it in there. So time went by, and another thing that happened right around that time was my wife and I, Robin, we had bought a 66 Nova, and that was our ice cream car, because the idea is you don't use it for anything other than going to get ice cream in. That's all they're good for, is those old cars like that. So we'd pile the kids in it and go get ice cream, and I think that's kind of what I was thinking about the before dark and get ice cream. We didn't say anything about the car, but you're in the car in the song. But when I was a kid, anytime my parents would get a new car, which was a used car, my mom would pop up popcorn and put it all in a big grocery sack, you know, a brown paper sack, and roll it all down. And right before it got dark, we'd go to the drive-in movie in that new car. It's really neat. So that kind of dusk time of day is one of the best times of the day, and that really stuck in my head from when I was a kid, and still does. So I think that's how that made it in the song, that just before dark and buying ice cream and that kind of thing. And so I remember writing that song, and then we didn't really think a thing other about it. And Trey and I weren't writing like all the time. I mean, you have a large circle of people you write with. So it was probably a couple months before I may have talked to him again. He said something about he's going to demo that song. And I go, which song? And he told me, he goes, you know, the Cow on the Road song. I go, oh, okay. So we went down to, he had a great band that day in the studio, and it was at Warner Brothers Publishing studio. And you'd think that Warner Brothers would have this giant, magnificent studio, but it's not. It's this little tiny little studio. It's like a closet of a studio. We had a great band that day. I want to say Greg Morrow was playing drums, and I want to say Pat Buchanan played guitar, and Jeff Allen sang the demo, and Lisa Silver and I went down and sang harmony on it. It turned out really good. It was rocking. and Trey produced it. He's really good at that. And so then, time went on, and I didn't think any more about it, because you're always thinking about what am I going to write today? What am I going to write tomorrow? You're not thinking about what you wrote 2 months ago. So months went by, and I want to say a couple of years went by, and I remember being in the lounge over at Starstruck Studio. I was recording Smoking Armadillos for Curb Records, and at that time my office at Curb Records was right across the back alley from Starstruck, so I liked to work there a lot because all I had to do was walk across the alley from my office. So we were recording over there, and I was in the lounge, and I get a call from Julie Daniel at Island Bound, my publisher at that time, or she was my previous publisher, saying, "Hey, got a Diamond Rio cut, and more than that, it's going to be the single." And I'm going, all right. So she said, even more than that, it's the single off the Greatest Hits album. And we both knew what that means. There's only usually one single off a Greatest Hits album, and it sells really well because it's Greatest Hits, and so they sell really well. And that year, after it went number one, Arista gave us all one of these. It says Max T. Barnes commemorating the number one single. Got a really neat graphic there. And it's neat. They do neat stuff for you like that when you get number ones and stuff. And I got the CMA awards and stuff, but you guys have seen those before. I've showed those to you, but I like to show you the individual plaques that maybe you haven't seen before. But anyway, I was telling you that it was number one for 3 weeks, but that time, right when it had hit number one, and then it went for a second week at number one, the BMI Awards came around, and I was at the BMI Awards with my wife Robin, and we were getting an award for Billy Dean's song, "That Girl's Been Spying on Me." That song. I swear that girl's been spying on me. That song. So we were there hobnobbing. We run into Dana from Diamond Rio, the bass player, and we were in our tuxes and stuff, and Dana says, "Hey brother," and I go, "Hey man, 2 weeks at number one with our song," and he said, "I just got off the phone and found out it's going to be 3 weeks at number one." So dang, that was cool. That was a good memory. And here's another story. I can't say this firsthand, but I heard it from a pretty good source that when they brought that song in, when the guys at Diamond Rio brought it in to the meeting at Arista, they played it for Tim Dubois there in his office, I reckon, and he took the cassette out. He didn't like the song. He took the cassette out of the machine, and he threw it down across the table like kind of tossed it like that. He says, "If this is where country music is going, I don't want to be any part of it." And I'm sorry, Tim, I ruined country music, but I'm really glad you guys cut it anyway. Tim and Vince Gill wrote that great song, "When I Call Your Name" by Vince Gill. Man, what a great country song. So I can see why I was kind of doing something different than that, but we had a good run with that little song, and I sure appreciate it. And I gotta say, if Trey hadn't insisted that Cow on the Road song, or Cow on the Road line being there, if he hadn't insisted on that, I don't think it would have been near as memorable, because a lot of people think of it as the Cow on the Road song because the title is "That's How Your Love Makes Me Feel." When you hear a song title like Elvira, you know what that song is. It's one word. I think I need to get better at my titles, because "That's How Your Love Makes Me Feel." Nobody really knows that song when you say the title, but you know it when you hear it, or somebody says the Cow on the Road song. So that's my story. That's behind the story of "That's How Your Love Makes Me Feel," also known as the Cow on the Road song. Thanks for watching.